Hello there, welcome to my reaction to Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. What happened on the channel Matt McMuscles. If you couldn't tell by the previous videos on my channel, I love Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, and I want to know what happened. If anything, it's 20 minutes. Probably something did happen. Something massive. Something incredible, maybe. I don't know. But I am wondering how this game came to be, because it's very different from any Metal Gear game. So if that's gonna be in the video, that'll be nice. I guess. I don't know. I've never seen this channel before. I don't think I've watched anything. It sounds very familiar, like what happened at this style of thumbnail in the video. Seems familiar. I might have seen something. I don't think I've seen this one. So let's see it now. But anyway, if you're from the future and want to help out the channel, check the links in the description below. Or just like, comment, subscribe. That also helps. And let's begin.
Hey, hold on. That's not funny. Pull back now.
Trying to find out the volume. This is also kind of familiar. Probably seen a video or two.
Metal Gear, the tactical stealth action franchise that warns against the military-industrial complex, economic inequality, and carries strong anti-nuclear messages, but dresses all that up with Bumblebee men, girly posters, and robotic dinosaurs. It's a franchise that's been around since 1987, and I think most would agree that it's never had a single controversial entry or problem-fraught development cycle ever. No, not a one. Oh, wait, how silly of me. There is Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance.
Okay.
There's a pretty meme.
Exquisite.
Okay, let me explain. A good portion of you are already writing an angry comment right now. Oh, I
My
know
neurons
you
are activated. I
So
hear the
let me
music.
be clear, Revengeance is awesome. One of the best action games ever released on the Xbox 360 or PS3. Why, the only thing that really rivaled it was Bayonetta, and that's not really surprising. But what is a bit shocking is that there was a concrete chance of things going down very differently.
Okay.
If you're a casual fan
Concrete
of Metal Gear
chance.
or character action, you might have forgotten or never even knew in the first place that Metal Gear Rising had a very bumpy ride during its development. However, thanks to either a twist of fate, sheer
That's DLC.
determination, or maybe just good old-fashioned Raiden's hacky, slashy adventure was plucked from the metal jaws of failure and launched into the shining red sun of success. Alrighty, so
Red Sun
Metal
over
Gear Solid
Paradise.
4, you remember that one, right? Oh no, well,
Never
let me
played it.
refresh your memory. Yeah, so
What?
there you go. After completing such a massive
Oh,
and
the bolts are
complex
there.
game, Metal Gear creator and Norman Reedus enthusiast Hideo Kojima sought to take a break from the franchise. Well, okay, not really. He just took a break from big console Metal Gears to
What's a
work
big
on
ball?
slightly smaller handheld Metal Gears. Anyway, this left a good portion of Kojima Productions without much to do, so a spin-off was the next logical step to use the engine and assets that went into MGS4 and to extend that into another game.
Oh, so
now,
it is the same
one of the
engine,
biggest
okay.
surprises to come out of the Guns of the Patriots was the transformation of Jack the Ripper, aka Raiden, aka Mr. Lightning Bolt, who wasn't exactly welcomed with open arms by most of the Metal Gear fanbase after his Sons of Liberty debut, and that was something Kojima wanted to change. So,
They sleep
after
on
some
bird
cheeky
shit?
references in Snake Eater, he sought to make the character so cool that people would go from saying, "Oh, Raiden," to "Whoa, Raiden!" mission accomplished. Now,
Yeah.
to explain exactly how this total makeover came about and how Raiden, saved Olga's baby from the Patriots, who we were told were dead, Kojima Productions started developing a full game to answer those questions. Now, since Hideo himself was already busy making Metal Gear Solid 5, Metal Gear Solid 5 Peace Walker, he decided to leave it in
What
the
is
hands
that?
of his staff with
Oh, is that
one
the
simple edict.
handheld?
Do whatever you want.
Got an MTS on our ass.
These are the same employees that worked for years, almost decades, under Kojima's consistent vision, so being told that they would basically have carte blanche wasn't exactly a good thing. It could have been, but in reality, the phrase paralyzed by choice is very much applicable here. It took a little while for the team to
make
form
sense.
up, with Mineshi Kimura being chosen to handle the directing duties, who had, up until that point, only worked as an artist on previous Metal Gears. So, he
Okay.
was leading the project from more of a visual standpoint, whereas gameplay and scenarios were coming from the team at large. Under these conditions, though, they struggled to come up with a solid concept for months. In terms of production, Yuji Korikato, a longtime programmer on the series since MGS1, who was then promoted to the
Damn.
position of associate producer, really wanted the game to succeed. Although, with so many different ideas and opinions, he found it increasingly difficult to nail down a concept that everyone agreed on. Kojima told us to make it any way you like, but I think we all had these preconceptions in our minds about what Metal Gear should be like. That wound up shackling
makes sense,
us
yeah.
as we tried to make it. So the team looked at what they did know. Raiden always
Because as I
displayed
said, it's completely different from the original, from any other Metal Gear game.
adeptness with a blade, which was exemplified even further by all the flippy whippy shit he did in MGS4, so the team decided
Flippy
to hone
whippy
in
shit.
on that. Making the game strictly melee focused would give it a different feel than how Solid, Naked, or Old Snake fought in their respective games. With that as a base, the freeform cutting mechanics started to be built, which would give Raiden the ability to slice through anything via a kind of circular targeting system, which would let him choose what limb needed to go.
Okay.
Concept art and design started to take shape, with Raiden's look retaining the cyborg feel that was introduced in MGS4, but redesigned to feel darker and more aggressive. This would fit in better with the massive amounts of destruction he could cause, because not only could he cut open his enemies via the Zandatsu technique, he could topple entire structures. In fact, environmental damage was set to be a big gameplay feature, as the player could attack enemies via falling debris. And that
I don't
was
think
it. That
there is a
was
system in
the
the
entire
game, right?
game.
Now we'll do a cut of that rotating watermelon.
Oh my god. That's the whole thing.
When its trailer was first shown at E3 2010,
I've
it
never
showed
seen the
off these
trailer.
features, but unlike many other Metal Gear Solid trailers, there wasn't even a hint as to its story or setting. Raiden was in it, and he could cut things. And that's because Raiden was in it, and all he could do was cut things. That's all they had. The team was
Cut at
still
will.
struggling on how the game would actually play. Would it be stealth, action, both, or something else entirely? Without that, they couldn't really build a story around it. Without a story, they couldn't really build expansive levels or boss fights. Therefore, as 2010 wore on, the Metal Gears ground to a halt, with the team making very
Nice.
little forward progress.
solid
Just by
pun.
looking closely at the footage you see here, Raiden's just casually waving his sword around, and enemies are just melting around him. There's no
Weird
combo
way as
system
well.
in place, nothing anchoring these attacks with a specific set of rules.
But he uses the knife here, which he doesn't use in the game. Which annoys me because knife is always on his fucking back.
It bears a striking resemblance to the simple 3-hit melee string
Unless I just never
that
had
were
a
in like the
combo
last
part
4
for it.
Metal Gear games.
That could be
And
a
that's
thing.
because it was. In the end, I think it's because we couldn't nail down the game's core. We spent a long time within Kojima Productions making the game, and there were some aspects of it that were fun. But by the end of it, all we had was a big team and no really common image shared among everyone in it. We were at a dead end. That's something Kojima has experienced several times before, and he concluded that we probably wouldn't finish at all if this continued.
A dud.
Now, 2010 was an important
Your
year for
solid
Kojima
lightning
Productions
bolt
in general,
action
as the
rising.
man himself
The
had
fuck is
just
that name?
finished up Peace Walker in April. So when he checked in with the Rising team later that year, he grew concerned with the lack of organization and vision that the game had. Now, yes, even though the core development of Peace Walker had finished, Kojima still couldn't directly step
That's kind of the problem when you have a whole company where there's only one guy in charge of everything. Not like literally everything, but it seems like he did a lot to put his people towards a thing. Like, well, let's do this, and they'll be like, yeah, let's do that, and then let's do this, let's do that. But then when he left, them at their own volition, they couldn't do anything because they didn't have actual somebody else telling them what to do, and they never agreed on anything.
in, as there was still Peace Walker's extensive DLC,
The
as
hell
well as
is that? Monster
supervising
Hunter?
Bluepoint on the MGS HD collection. So this is where Rising truly entered the alert phase. If they couldn't find a way to salvage it, then it would be game over.
Raiden, is everything all right? Raiden!
It's then natural to think that contacting an outside developer would be the ideal solution, but it was a direction Kojima had some hesitation over. I've worked on collaborative efforts in the past and they didn't go well, and that became a sort of trauma for me. Getting real results from this one was a really good case study, I think. Now, while he doesn't say it by name, it's easy to picture the complicated 3-way, technically 4-way collaboration between Kojima Productions, Silicon Knights, Nintendo, and Ryuhei Kitamura to be a bit difficult, judging by that
That's
game's
a lot of
sluggish
things.
sales and divisive reaction. So you could say that his reluctance for further collaborations was somewhat justified. However, with their options dwindling, both Kurikado and Kojima were discussing what to do next, and that's when Kojima finally brought up PlatinumGames as a possible partner. And
There
while
we go.
Kurikado thought that they were a great choice, he simply assumed they would say no, so the possibility was simply
Why?
dropped. Weeks rolled on with no other prospects, and that's when Kojima decided to go all in. He was going to directly pitch Rising to then Platinum CEO Tatsuya Minami, and
Like, why would they say no to work on a game in a Metal Gear series? That wouldn't make sense from, like, any kind of standpoint, really.
if he got turned down, well, at least he tried. Kurikado's job in all this was to put together the presentation, all the concept art, the ideas, basically everything that had been done so far. To everyone's surprise, Platinum accepted, as the opportunity to work on a Metal Gear project
didn't see it as a
was too
surprise.
enticing
Okay.
to pass up, even though they were busy
Exactly.
with other titles, such as Anarchy Reigns and the wonderful 101. While this news
This was the
meant
only
that
reason they
game
could have
was
said no if they were busy already with some other projects.
saved, Kurikado had mixed feelings about it. To be
Steel
frank,
Storm
it was
Riders?
frustrating. I mean, here I was doing a presentation all about this thing that we couldn't finish ourselves. What's more, we were presenting it to an outfit that had what we didn't, and would be perfect for leaving development duties to. With that frustration, though, there was also this new strength that no matter what role I'm playing now, I was going to get this project finished. Now, of course, Platinum had a
Just getting
caveat,
things off his
which
hands.
was the timeline itself. Rising was always intended to bridge the gap between Sons of Liberty and Guns of the Patriots, but Platinum didn't want to be beholden by either game's storyline, so they and Koji Pro agreed to place the game after the conclusion of MGS4, which would make it the last chronological entry of the Metal Gear saga. This would then free them up to craft whatever story they wanted.
True.
When you're talking about Metal Gear, the narrative would obviously be an integral part of the game. In terms of the mechanics, well, Kojima Productions let Platinum do as they wished, even if they felt
and they
that
did
the
what they do
free-cutting
best.
mechanics should be, cut, then they wouldn't object. They just wanted the game to be finished and be of a high quality. There were two restrictions though. Koji Pro
I do wonder if the cutting mechanics was cut from the game. It would be still good, but I don't think it would be as good. Cutting mechanic is the one of the big things about the game as it is now.
would still have final approval on the script to make sure it didn't contradict anything, but the other one was a bit more concerning. The release date. It had to come out February 2013. No delays.
Okay. When was this?
So, to make
How
the
much time
game
ahead?
in just 2 short years, Platinum
years.
realized that it would simply be faster to take their own engine and technology and to rebuild everything from scratch to ensure that it would run at 60 frames per second. None of the prior technical work made by the original team at Koji Pro would be used, and that
Really?
was always targeting 30 frames. With their prior experience, though, Platinum also quickly honed in on the game's core, a high-octane action title familiar to their fans, style rankings, combos, and clutch defensive mechanics. But now it would be combined with the presentation and story of Metal Gear, codex sequences, over-the-top bosses with catchy code names, and even some light stealth elements. Platinum did have to scale back some ideas to get it all done, though. Gone was the ambitious destruction physics seen in the original trailer, and were instead replaced with more mundane versions like cutting down trees and scaffoldings, which didn't really affect enemies. Raiden's Naruto run, ninja run, I caught myself there, was also originally planned to be more elaborate, because when the game resurfaced as Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance at the end of 2011, a new trailer showed him Narutoing along walls, goddammit, and attacking enemies from aerial angles. This would not be seen in the final game, as making sure it worked along every surface without collision issues would probably have taken a lot of time and testing. Therefore, Platinum just Zandatsu'd it. Implementing certain Metal Gear staples also proved to be somewhat tricky, as codec conversations clash with the game's framerate. In MGS 2 and 4, codecs were presented with real-time 3D models, talking back and forth, but with the new engine, this wouldn't be possible. So, to keep the framerate stable and silky smooth, they were changed to video files of a character speaking in a loop. It's just overlaid onto the gameplay. Now, even through all of this, Platinum solving problems and working incredibly quickly, Kojima was still a bit cautious. Tatsuya Minami recalls, "The schedule was really tight. Kojima was really worried about the schedule, and he'd asked me time and again, are you sure you can do this? Like, if we couldn't, then there was some stuff we'd have to figure out about the future, so tell me as soon as possible if you can't." And then, quick as a lightning bolt, the cutoff point for the game's Gold Master struck. They needed to lock everything in leading up to that February 19th release date. Now, if fans wanted to, say, experience Raiden's new moves a little earlier, well, they could purchase PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, because Rising needed some promotion and PlayStation All-Stars needed some stars. For more info on that, turn your codec
Did it come out before Rising? Really?
frequency over to 140.69. The game received fantastic reviews and fan reception,
Oh, hell
befitting
yeah.
a Metal Gear action title developed by PlatinumGames, who had proved that they were quite skilled working under high-frequency pressure. The fast action
Come on, Platinum, Kojima Productions, and whoever has the rights. Make a sequel. You're making Bayonetta 2s and 3s, so you're fine with sequels. Come on, please.
tight story, engaging
We beg
boss
you,
fights,
not
and
just me.
explosive soundtrack endeared itself to many, although some bemoan the change in genre and the game's short length. That didn't really hurt sales though, because while it was always assumed it wouldn't fare as well as mainline Metal Gears, the game reportedly sold well over 2 million copies across the Xbox 360, the PlayStation 3, and Steam, further proving the fact that its developer is always Platinum. Given that success, Korikato hinted at possibly continuing Raiden's adventures, but that was during happier Kojima production days. I think the frustration that we weren't able to get it done with our own hands is going to stay with me for the rest of my life.
Oh,
Still, MGR is a game that couldn't have happened without this collaboration. That's something which makes me happy, but personally, there is this drive in me to give it another try sometime.
Yes,
But,
sequel.
Due to all the everything that has since transpired in the subsequent years between Konami top brass and Hideo Kojima, any hope for a sequel to Revengeance, I guess Revengeance Resurrection, was definitively dashed. I mean, Konami could certainly greenlight another one if they wanted. Platinum is still very much in business. The game was made without Kojima directly at the helm, so it's entirely possible.
It is
that
possible,
we might
yeah.
Ah, what the hell am I saying? Of course not. There's not gonna be. Am I high? I just
Shut up.
this is getting a little depressing. Anyway,
Yes.
please enjoy this backflipping cat. Ah, that's better. If you know of any other weapons that will drag the world into the 21st century, video games or any other media that have had troubled development cycles, let me know in the comments below, ninja run over to my Twitter, or step onto the frigid shores of the Flophouse VIP archipelago and become a big boss to nominate the subject of our next episode. See you next time, and thanks for watching.
Somehow I understand the lyrics in this cover more than the original. It's actually not bad. The cover of Rule of Nature. Does it say by whom? Village credits, written, additional writing, edited, outro music, Rules of Nature, epic metal cover. But Little V Mills, or Little 5 Mills? I don't know. Good job, I actually enjoyed that cover. Anyway, I enjoyed the whole video in general. I did not know how it all went. I just thought they asked, like, Kojima Productions work on the story or something, and then PlatinumGames worked on the gameplay. That was what my assumption was, but seeing it be this, let's say, tricky, it's a bit disheartening, yeah, and the chances of sequel are low, pretty much zero, but I don't want to lose hope that one day something could come out. But in the same time, big chance that something will not live up to expectations. So maybe it's better that nothing will come out. I want at least like maybe a remake or a remaster to just bring new audience, and maybe from that the publishers will see that people still want the game, and maybe that will force them to make a sequel. I don't know. That's the only Metal Gear I've ever played. Not forever. I am planning to play something else, but yeah, it's great. I love it. Anyway, thank you, everybody who watched this. I appreciate it a lot, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye. Have a great life, because one of us has to.